Now, you have a session here at OSCON titled The 10 Commandments of Open Innovation. What is your definition of open innovation?
Well, open innovation is a model you can apply to free and open source software projects. Traditionally, you have the free software model, which is mostly based on values and the four freedoms, the collaboration among a community of equals. And there's also the open source model, where it's more focused on the pragmatic strengths of free and open source software, and you can build a business on top of it as a competitive weapon. And the open innovation model is taking the best from the collaboration aspect from the free software model with the business-friendly aspect of the open source model to build a common innovation ground that multiple companies can contribute to, but no single company is in charge. And that common playing ground is separate from the monetization strategies of the different participating companies.
Are there historical examples of it? And if so, what allowed those examples to take root?
So the archetypal example of open innovation is the Linux kernel. And part of the problem is that the Linux kernel was seen as an exception rather than a model that you could emulate and replicate on other projects. Mm-hmm. And one important thing we did with the OpenStack project is that we kind of proved that we could set up a project from the ground up as an open innovation project like the Linux kernel was. I guess what makes it potentially successful is you have to attract a large subsection of the industry, so that those must be like large projects. You cannot really set up an open innovation project on a niche software project. You have to have something that has momentum. So cloud software obviously is very attractive those days, and you also have to manage to attract really a sufficient number of people so that it's worth it to have the drawbacks of the open innovation model and not just the benefits of open source model.
Now, in open source, sometimes that's applied as a way for a startup or a new company to disrupt an incumbent. Now, does that also apply on the open innovation side? I mean, is this the type of thing that a startup could apply to get in there and start chipping away at a competitor?
It's definitely a way to for the rest of the industry to compete with the market leader. It's the open innovation provides a framework that all the other incumbent companies can actually use to collaborate and try to disrupt the market leader. In the case of OpenStack, obviously it's the rest of the industry against Amazon and VMware. So it's really about, it provides you a recipe that you can actually follow, yes.
Do you have to worry about collusion or anything like that?
Sorry?
Collusion. I mean, do you have to worry about collusion with that? Or is it all under that banner of this is openness, this is a project, we're not necessarily looking to disrupt, it's just that may happen?
Well, it's the framework you build allows you to do that. And obviously, in OpenStack, you have groups that are clearly focused against someone in somewhere else. But I would say that you can apply an open innovation in an open innovation project. You can potentially build something that is not against the market leader. You could argue that the Linux kernel was not built from the ground up to disrupt Microsoft.
Okay, right. So last question for you. Your seventh commandment that was in your session description, it really stuck out to me. It was, quote, "Thou shalt not be too agile." And that seems to run counter to some of the agile focus that we're seeing these days. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, in all presentations, you need to have some kind of controversial argument. Otherwise, it's a bit basic. So this is the one among all my 10 rules. That's the one that is slightly controversial. Right. I would say that whereas some aspects of agile can clearly apply to an open innovation project, like, I don't know, test-driven development is obviously something you can apply to any project, any software project. I would argue that agile is designed to make the best of a finite group of developers within a single command and control structure. It doesn't apply so well if you have like an infinite number of loosely tied contributors that are operating under separate command and control hierarchies. And we cannot really set up the open innovation project as a fully an agile project because of this requirement to use closely tied groups that will have lots of physical interactions. And you could certainly have subgroups of developers within an open innovation project that are organized as agile teams. But then that tends to create silos inside your communities, because those people will have those I don't know, daily stand-up meetings that nobody else in the community will be able to participate in. So in the end, it's quite detrimental to the success of the Open Innovation project. So you can take some bits of it, but I would generally, I'm generally opposed to applying the full agile methodology within the project, or I try to not encourage subgroups to be organized as agile groups.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us.